Hi. Okay, so we have our project set up already. I've literally done a little bit of stuff here, basically just installation and all. We are using React to form. We are using Zod. We are using Zod Resolver. We are using Next.UI. We are using react-toastify for toast notification, and all of that has been installed already in my project. So I'm just going to like drop like the command line for installation for that in the description box below, so you can do that. That's very straightforward. And here in my layout, I have set up my toast container for my toast notification and just wrap my body in it so that it can reflect in all of the pages that I have in my app folder. So yeah, let's start with creating a components folder. So let's create a components folder. I'm going to put a file payment.tsx here, right? So let's start from, of course, if we want to get payment from a user, we probably need their email, because you want to send them email, confirmation email and all of that. You probably also need that metadata for something on your back end if this was a real life project. So yes, we need a little form that takes in the email and the amount that the person wants to pay. Usually it will probably be an e-commerce application where you have like the user is able to pick what they want to purchase and just add to cart, or maybe your own application you just need to set this up for subscription, so you're able to know how much you are charging. But in this test case, we're going to be having the user fill a form so that we can know how much they want to pay. So first things first, I'm going to declare this a use client. Let me run my code. Let me run this. Let's see what we're working with. I'm using my correct node version now npm run dev. All right, okay, so we have this coming up. So yeah, I have an empty page because there's nothing in my own page, so let's just put like an h1 here, and let's just say this is my own page, just to confirm that everything is working correctly. So yeah, I have this is my own page here, so I guess this is working correctly. All right, let's work on our payment component. We start by importing everything we need. We are importing use form from React hook form, and then we are importing Z from Zod. We are importing the Zod resolver from hook form, resolver, Zod. We are also importing our card. We are importing our card body, blah, and all of that from Next.UI. We don't need this. We don't need test area. We don't need select. Matter of fact, we don't even need the body as well. We don't need a label, and we probably why is this coming from just UI? This should be from at Next.UI, Next.UI React, and the input shouldn't come from here. No, the input is not coming from here. And then we have our toast. We are importing our toast from react-toastify, and we should also import here our form component here. So let's also import. So that's that with the importations for now. We have Zod, we have React hook form, we have Next.UI, we have Zod resolver, we have our toast. So let's create the schema. Let's create the schema for our form data. So we're creating schema equal to z.object, and we're starting. Our email should be a string and it should be an email, and if it is not, we use this error message, invalid email address. And then we also have our amount. Of course, it should be a positive number. Holy Jesus. Of course, it should be a number. It should be a positive number. You of course don't want to put in a negative number. You should have a minimum amount should be 100 naira, and then you should have the maximum should actually be like, I think it should be 1 million. Is this 1 million? Okay, yeah, this is 1 million. 1 million naira. And then let's close up our Zod object. So now we've declared our schema. Let me close this up. Let's get this line out of here. All right, let's create our function. So export default function payment. Function should actually be, let's name it Paystack payment. So Paystack payment, let's close this up, and let's start with creating our form, our card, so that we can see something on our screen, right? So first things first, we return should be the minimum height screen, and let's give it the background gray 100. Background should be gray 100. And now inside of that we have our card component. So we have our card, and we have our card header, and of course we have our card body as well. So our header probably has an h2 somewhere here inside that say pay with Paystack. Let's give this some class name as well. Let's give this a test to Excel. Let's give it font bold, and let's make the color a bit. Let's give it test gray 800. Let's look at what we have. Oh, we are not yet using this. Let's import it into the main page. So import Paystack payment. So we're using it here, Paystack payments. All right, let's refresh this page. All right, so we have our card here, pay with Paystack. and let's bring in every detail that is in the card. Let our card have some stuff as well. So we have the shadow XL. Let's give it some shadow. Let's give it a BG white, and let's give it some padding 6. And we come down here to our card body. We are going to have our form here. Card header, we also have like some class name. Let's just give it test center, and let's just give it padding 6. Let's check what we have. All right, so now back to our form. We give our form some class names as well. So form class name, let's give our form some flex call, and some space y4, because of course we want it stacked above each other. Let's give it some text gray 600, and let's start with the inputs. Let's create our first input. Name is email, type is label is email address, type is email, variant required. This should actually be is required, and I don't want this placeholder. A label is fine. It also doesn't need a name. Let's give it a variant faded. Let's give it some size LG, and let's give it, okay, it already has the is required prop. So that's our email input, and of course we want to display an error, a validation error. So if we have errors.email, and then we have a paragraph displays the error. So what the paragraph displays is the errors. So let's give this some styling. Class name, it should be test small. We want the test to be small, and we want this to be test red 500. So we'll copy and paste this again for the amount. So here we have, and of course we want to register this. We've not written the logic for that, but this should register email, and this should also register amount. Label should be amount in naira, and it should be a type number. Variant is faded, size is large, and it is also required. And if we don't get it, we also display an error message for it. So we initialize our React hook form with Zod validation. Let's come up here and infer the type script types from the Zod schema. Type form data.infer type of schema. So we are inferring the TypeScript types from the Zod schema for type safety. And then let's move on here and initialize our React hook form. So we have const resolver, and then we close that. So we have our register to register the input from the form. We have the handle submit function. We have the form states, and I think we also need reset here. Reset, and we would also need watch, because I don't want to display the pay button if my email and my amount does not have anything inside of it. So the user shouldn't even be able to see the pay button. Let's see what we have. So we have this pay with Paystack. We have our email address. This is required. Amount is of type number, and it is also required. So let's go back to our code. We're good with that. Now let's work with the Paystack. We are going to create our Paystack account. It's going to be on test mode, and so that we can get our Paystack public key, because we're going to be needing that. key. We're going to save it in our env file. So we create a .env file here, and we're going to save our public key here. So let's call this next underscore public underscore paystack. All right, public underscore paystack public underscore key. So we copy our public key from our Paystack account. You find it under settings, and then you paste it here in your env. So we have pasted that in. Let's go back to our payment. So let's get our Paystack public key from our env file. So we're gonna have declare a variable const public key. I do this all the time. Const public key equals to process.env, and then if somehow our public key is not available, we definitely want to alert ourselves. So toast.error Paystack public key is not set. So we want to do just that. Another thing we also want to do, that I want to do, is to watch the input for email and amount, so I can know if the user has indeed inputted something, right? So we have our const email equals to watch email and const amount equals to watch amount, so that would help us to determine if our payment button will be available. So since we have that, let me now write the payment button down here. So now email, if we have our email and if we have our amount, and if our amount is not equal to undefined, if it's not equal to undefined, probably let's put in a simple HTML button here for now. This would be replaced with the Paystack button anyway, so this will be replaced with the Paystack button, but let's just put this here in the meantime. So if there is no email, no amount put in here, I don't want to see this button. So we already have React Paystack installed. That is also part of the command that is going to be in the description box. So we import the Paystack button from React Paystack, and it is that Paystack button that we'll be using for our pay. So instead of this button, we take this out. We should have the Paystack button instead. Boy, this is too much. All right, Paystack button, and then we're closing it off. So Paystack button is supposed to have quite some things here, which is like the configuration, the Paystack configuration, and we're going to write that in a minute. But let's just give this a test now. This N should be capital letter. Let's give it a test, and let's give it some class name. So let's give it some rounded corners, rounded LG, and like an over effect. With over 8, it should give us BG green 600. And I also want a little bit of animation, transition colors, duration 200. But our Paystack button is still expecting its configuration, so it's missing that. So we're gonna write that now. Now let's write the Paystack configuration. Const Paystack config is equal. Let me just take ChatGPT for now. Honestly, we don't need the reference, but yes, you can get all of that. The major things that we need. Let's go to React Paystack. Let's go to the documentation. So yeah, we need the email, the amount, the public key, blah. All right, let's get to that. So we have the email, we have the amount times 100. So you have to multiply it by 100. You have to convert it to kobo because Paystack uses the smallest currency. And then you send in the public key. You also want to send in your currency. Currency should be kobo, naira, and maybe some metadata. This is very optional, to be fair. Say metadata. Let's add some more stuff to this. Metadata is optional in this case. And we have the the callback for successful payment. If the payment is successful, we have a callback that Paystack provides. So on success, on close as well, there's no comma here, and that's why we have that error. So we have the on success. If the payment was successful, we want to see a toast that tells us payment successful. On close, if the user decides they are not going forward, we want them to see, oh, you've cancelled your payment flow. If there's an error, we also want them to see, I'm sorry, your payment failed, right? All right, so I think we are. Now let's pass this into our Paystack button. So yeah, we pass the payment configuration into our Paystack button. All right, I think we have a little issue with the metadata, so I'm going to just change this to, I actually wanted to use custom fields initially. So custom underscore fields. So for our Paystack key, it should have there should be a fallback of like a string. Sorry, this is a double stroke. So I believe that error should be gone by now. All right, so we're passing the email and the amount as our metadata. So let's refresh this. Let's see what we have. And because we are using our form, we probably still want to have the on submit. So yeah, I just changed my form to a normal div because Paystack button kind of handles all of the submits, paparazzi. What is this? I'm taking you out. All of the submits, paparazzi. So we don't need this. We don't need the card footer, and there's absolutely no need for the form as well. All right, let's test what we have. So we have pay with Paystack, we have email address, which is required, and we have the amount, which is also required as well. So let's try to test this out. All right, so our amount is, say, 10,000 naira, and let's try to make payments of that 10,000 naira. So yeah, because we are in test mode, we can choose any of the options to test. If you want this to be a successful payment, you can choose success. Let's pay 10,000 naira. So payment successful. We should get a toast and our form should reset. I don't know why it's not doing that. Let's check. Oh, so there's a typo here on success. Not, there was an E. Our E was absent there. So let's try again. So this time around, let's make a payment of 12,000 naira. All right, we want it to be successful. Payment successful. We have our toast. Payment successful. Why is mine? This should clear up. This form should reset. I don't know why it's not resetting. But let's check and confirm if this payment went through. Look at that. In my email address as the user, I got a receipt for Paystack. YouTube demo received your payment of 12,000 naira, and also the owner of the Paystack account, which is YouTube demo, will also get an email. Let me open that account. Let's see if we did got an email. So yes, absolutely, we got an email as well. From that, we got an email. It says Demilad just paid you. So both accounts will get emails notifying them of payment. So I guess that's about that for our payment. As you can see, it went through, and the owner of the Paystack account also got that. In a real application, there might be some secondary stuff that you need to do. Maybe get the metadata, log into some database, just do some confirmation and all of that. But this is just a direct testing of the process of using Paystack to receive money on your application. Please let me know if you have any addition, subtraction, or any question in the comment section, and I'll see you in my next video. Don't forget to like, to subscribe, to comment, to turn on your notification for more tech and coding content. Bye.